The one that's more.
I'm afraid that community.
Not gonna go ahead.
Good, and I have open about to you all, I can feel right. And it's that urgent. And.
So I mean, it's fine. Good, good. No issue. Okay. Well, anyway.
Right.
Good, so they didn't have any more accidents. You're a gem. They were. They didn't sign it into the plan.
So 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the regular session of the town council to order. We got a little echo here? Okay. Debbie, could you call the roll, please? That's annoying.
Councilmember Holdren,
Present.
Councilmember Marina,
Present.
Councilmember Knott. Here. Councilmember Oswald. Here.
Present.
Councilmember Wetzel.
Present. And Mayor Foskey.
I'll give you a minute to get that straightened out here. Testing, is it still doing? Okay, sounds like it's somewhat better. As you may know, we have a new council member here, Paul. Wetzel was appointed by the council at the last meeting he'll serve out the remainder of Brandon's term until the 1st of January. Thanks so much for stepping up and being appointed. Pledge of Allegiance.
With liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, that's been up there. We are, unfortunately, we're gonna, after we do the minutes, we're gonna have to go into closed session for about a half an hour to consult with our lawyer. We don't normally do this at 7 o'clock, but it's the only time that our lawyer could, be on at a set time rather than wait till 9 or 9:30 later. So we're not gonna be doing anything for about a half an hour. So, all right, do I have a motion to approve the special minutes from special meeting June 5th, 2024?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
I think Debbie made the corrections I asked her to make to my motion.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 24th, 2024 meeting?
So move.
Second?
Second it.
Any discussion or corrections?
I'm wrong. It wasn't the June 5th meeting. It was the June 24th. I jumped the gun.
That's
But she made the corrections to my motion on June 24th.
okay. All right, no discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, you have a question?
Yes, a simple question. Do we have the right to know what is being discussed with you?
Yeah, I will read a motion, but it's just a real estate concern. Yeah. Somebody's going to read a motion here in a second. Yeah. Of course, nothing just gets decided in the closed session if we vote on anything. And I don't think we're going to decide anything when we come back out. So do we have a motion to go into closed session? Well, if you can, it's kind of here if somebody wants to read this.
Okay, I'll take a stab. I move that we go into closed session for consultation with legal counsel as allowed per section 2.2-3711A7.
Second.
It's concerning a real estate issue. Okay, yeah. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. You guys can stay. You can stay out here. We're going to go in the back room.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Should we all go? Be right back. Phone with you, Jerry. Yeah.
I wonder how, I think they'll wait half an hour. No, I'll wait. Thank you. You gonna wait?
These were the big.
So what's going on?
Bad girls.
Oh, they were good. They wasn't good. They were cool.
They are cute. They make them that way.
I guess they do. You know, I've never seen one that wasn't. So you had a good time?
That's a little worn out, but very fair.
So how
So
far
the
away were
trip
you?
ride, the boat ride, sorry?
How far away were you?
No issue. It was like a 5.5 hour drive.
Oh, yeah.
No offense. Not Garrett. That's why I actually spent most of the very necessarily wherever. Yeah, that for the first couple of days we were in. That's part of Maryland, Maryland and West Virginia. Just that curve that's created by the Potomac River, where it goes like this.
Yeah.
For about 100 miles.
Like going like.
Oh.
No way.
Yeah.
West, so. One base here, Frostburg.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, how far up? Yeah. Uphill all the way.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that,
Yeah, it's pretty up there.
and just, whether it's
Yeah, that's true.
Charter. So you went out
Can you-
to your point and then went.
One end and they picked up
Wow.
it's about maybe 8 or 10 mile canoe.
And
And
then
then with the current, so it's not
Oh, that's.
Hmm.
a terrible long run.
Maybe I'm wrong, it didn't seem like.
Yeah, okay, so very pretty up there.
Was it crowded at the bar?
1800
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
elevation. Where were we using that thing? 8,000? 7,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That, but you know, 1800s.
I guess it is.
Not so much.
I know.
Yeah.
Just past there is the, whatever it's called, Continental Divide. It's like 20 miles west of where we were. Where the Continental Divide is.
Uh-huh.
All the rain that falls on that side of the mountain.
We're good, I'm going to Jersey tomorrow, just a couple of days, I still have my dentist there.
Yeah.
Comes down here. That's about 2,600 feet. Yeah,
It's someone's Florida.
it's a lot like upstate. New York.
And then I think we're gonna have a granddaughter, remember, so.
9 months of winter.
Painted them up twice.
Mm.
That's why we know that he's right.
So I had a couple of days off.
Yes, kind of a guess.
Days off from your projects, 3 days in a row.
Perfect.
Right.
Record, I think.
It's got right name, but it's got-
Oh,
Now you count tonight.
Yep.
To hear-
So I'm hoping it's Sheila.
Yeah.
Because it's not that great, but it's not like rich to me.
Same.
Sorry, so I can try to do that and then, my son and daughter, my children was like. basically,
It's not just Saturday.
Yeah. So we have one window, my straight out windows, it's all.
Provides
It's nice to get.
are going to be providing
So I got, yeah, that's when we lived.
for everyone
Great
who
little
knows
contrast.
traffic. And if we weren't doing that, that's guaranteed, they wouldn't be drawing a lot.
The basement, which is great, because it's like.
I have a lot to say about
Full path for
every subject, so I'm gonna get pretty bad.
It's not carved, it's like a carved.
Same old one, and
I
then
try to do all
I want
these,
them to-
available things.
Well, when
I've been working on this building over here.
I know, communicators.
Demo all myself.
Well, they're deferring to this. Doesn't anybody have a problem with that?
There's two different forms of working with.
That's what this is about.
Shelf, so the new stuff.
But I raised an issue.
Basic laws.
And I guess now it's you need to
It's like 8 going up. I knocked out the bottom ones because they were all.
Like a cell phone based.
And then I knocked out the next.
I'm
row,
concerned because
And then third row
Oh, my God,
was wood, and then YouTube, fourth and fifth were glass.
he was a
Yeah.
professor.
Literally with this.
Oh, really?
Music producer.
The one that's an oval. Yeah, not bonus.
There's kind
Good stuff.
He was locked in the house for 2 days because we were away.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah, he.
made it around.
Yeah.
Came all the way through the hardware box.
Oh,
And
geez.
made it
So I took
another one
3
from
rows.
that.
And
And
Cool.
shut out the door, like he wouldn't come out.
If you walk back, look at some of the street. The door
And there's
is
also.
So this is like-
There's very fast.
Don't grab his cars. Because if this thing goes, done. So I get the whole thing wire minus.
It's like a strap.
Is that the maker though?
2 brackets today.
Fender license.
Yeah, I think.
So, and they're fairly heavy.
Whatever the word is.
Big knockoff. So I got those right and they're bracket hard. It's like this.
License by Fender lights.
So I had one still.
Yeah, that's what I have one of those.
This is kind of a liability, yeah.
Sure, support guitar.
I just wanted everything else to just put the door.
That's great.
So.
Lemon yellow.
Oh, yeah?
So I can travel by internet.
So the 2 big ones I got, she's 2 small ones. I got one.
That's great.
Pops out the whole thing. I'm off of this web, I'm like, oh my god. What I got out there.
Oh, hey,
John, all right?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Place looks nice.
Thank you. I was just telling Katie, I did get everything up on myself. Today was the
I
fun
didn't
year.
get it accepted as the next.
Yeah, you all could have been in my service.
I know. She said.
I'm glad you're-
We told him not to do it, but
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
There's only one way to learn.
Yep.
It's only one story.
But you know, I was thinking about it, like if I were to help my kids do something like that, it would be completely different. So what I learned from this one, yeah, it could be a totally different. Yeah. They call contractor, that's probably the learning.
You want that mezzanine?
That's not yet, but that's coming soon. I'm gonna do the ceiling, so I'm gonna leave that there and then move it, do the other part of the ceiling. Yeah. That's been fun. Yeah.
So does the new one come soon?
It's actually in the garage, but the installer just had cataract surgery.
They're gonna come and do it.
Yeah, and hoping Wednesday, he goes to the doctor again tomorrow. That was kind of my hope to get everything out, because being an older man. Health is, health is a bit of an issue, so.
So what'd you do with the old one?
Took the wood part to the dump and that was all on the side of the building. Oh, yeah, I think they said they take it, they have somebody comes and picks up the metal and then
Oh, okay.
sell it or whatever. Otherwise, I would have taken it to the dump, but.
Yep.
You guys look like you're making good progress.
Does look like that.
Yes, we are.
Depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, I saw Dana last week or the week before I drove by, and the 2 of you were carrying a 4x8 sheet of something across the front overhang.
That would be the paneling.
Yeah,
We did have help getting a whole bunch of the other ones up there.
yeah, there was no help.
Actually, Archer came and helped us.
Oh, good.
He and his two two young men, one of them was his son, I believe. And us four shoved him up, there,
Oh, good.
6 of them, 6 or 7 sheets of that.
Yeah.
Composite board. I tried to do it, but I was not gonna.
Yeah.
So, if they're all up there, we got it all cut to size, put them all in,
Yeah, it's coming along great.
got it all sealed up, put on, I got a board of the sheet up this week.
Okay. That we put that down yourself.
I hope so. Yeah, it's not, as long as you get, as long as your board is the right size.
Right, yeah.
So you're doing them.
There's the middle.
Yeah, just that 5, that
That's
5
like-
inch sheets, that's all.
Maybe it's out now.
Sheet metal. Place up.
Yeah.
Bill, but
I'm not good at like the paint.
um, I've done it. No, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I'm more,
I've always done it with somebody else helping.
I like
me
to have
do
something else like
know
that.
more about it than me.
It's like.
But
why are you picking me? It's like, something that won't
Right.
She is that.
That's probably, takes a couple weeks to get the insurance, so. I kind of wanted to order them before we.
That's a great house.
I have to go up there to order it.
And I don't do it.
So
But I got
I try to go up there.
So
Good.
that was very satisfying. There were a couple of.
We're trying to get that stuff done inside.
So that's good.
I guess it's supposed to be kind of rainy, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Be all right. A rainy week.
Yes.
It could be like last week, 97 degrees every day.
Well, it's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
It's like specific.
Okay, thank you.
That'll save us all the
Oh, really? Um, right.
Yeah. All my life.
I did, next place.
Yeah.
All in time.
Well, I should say. New Jersey, I lived up there for years.
But we ran it slip over.
I was born to the man.
Oh, you
You know.
Yeah, but I was that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we did kind of done it, so they got it out.
Years ago, yeah, so we never lived here. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of combined.
So then
We still have,
pulled it out.
we still have.
The weather has
Some County, Maryland,
Right.
Okay,
kind of past Pocono.
yeah, I know what happened. So
That's for sure. This is the first time we've ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most here, but most of the time, actually, 5, 6 days.
Okay. That's a nice
Yeah,
town.
yeah, yeah.
It's nice.
Getting better all the time.
So I've got my over there, it's just a trailer.
Everybody I talk to says it's kind of.
Their yard fence on the other way. So, good, somewhere, it's got stuff out of there. Yeah, it's kind of, okay, it's built up for that. Get you. I gotta get some talent.
Talent is not to watch what you're doing. Just remember, turn the wheel opposite of where.
Yeah, I know, that makes you crazy.
Yep,
Yeah, there's a fence on one side and then a cinder block wall on the
it's
other
even
side.
harder with short trailers.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause I used to have a shorter trailer. And that, with the longer trailer, it's much easier.
Yeah, my father-in-law had a 4x4 little trailer.
Oh, those are.
And I got really good at that, but I had a small farm.
Right, that makes a difference, yeah.
Now with a truck.
It's almost easier to put a wheel on your
Yeah.
jack and move it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought it on my trip.
$1. Oh, nice.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Really?
Yeah, you literally have to have somebody that, there's a little.
We decided we should have our meetings over there.
Okay.
Ah.
So it's not powerful.
It's not going.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
there's a
Wow.
bar.
Yeah. Of course, they threw out all the packets. So
Yes.
probably cost me $500.
Send it back.
There's a seat over there.
Or so is it raining up?
It just started.
Hard or just?
It's pretty, it's wet, yeah, it's hard enough for me.
It's like you can.
We came through a couple. Couple
Did you?
heavy downpours.
Yeah.
Hagerstown and Baltimore. Another one between Easton and Salisbury, another torrential downpour.
Wow.
And we had a torrential downpour on Saturday up there. And we were hauling all
When?
the boats out of the river.
Yeah.
It must have rained in about 5 minutes.
Oh. Oh, really?
Yes, it was okay.
Same sprinkler.
So-
We were already wet.
Same.
Oh, and was it Sunday?
Both
in
texted.
Yep.
Yeah, I said, I checked with her yesterday, so I texted.
Oh, yes, it's Sunday.
Is that Sunday yet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, I have a cat question for you.
I
When you were there, did you ever see Kiki beating the
No.
stuffing out of?
Not at all. No.
She's always the business.
Really?
Yeah, and we're not sure if she's trying to teach her how to fight or if she's realizing,
Never, not.
chewing on her neck and dragging her around by the neck and chewing on her.
And I was there about, by the time we did everything, it was about an hour. I did not see any of that.
Maybe she just saves that for us,
I bet she does.
saves that for the parents.
Well, do you pick the little one up a lot?
We were thinking it might be jealous.
Jealous.
No, we don't really pick her up that much. We don't really pick Ivy up all that much. Some.
Well, a couple of them will climb on our legs.
Yes.
Oh, they
Yeah, we're trees.
They climb right up your leg.
Yeah.
And sink their claws in your leg.
Um,
You take the foot with you.
At least it's not teeth.
Put all the windows.
That's right. And their claws are little.
Right.
It's been so long since I've had kids. But
Right.
psychology.
It seems like she thinks.
She is the only other, the only other female.
Oh, my God.
Maybe, you know?
So.
You have to take her to watch
We
the.
got, we
back
dated,
at lunch.
dated,
They said, listen, I was gonna be here. And doing that.
Yeah.
that no.
2 hours.
And I picked up
Can you take her?
Oh, bless. I gave her a lot of attention. I gave.
She said she literally goes.
Probably 2 more.
She does not like that sound.
But look at
We keep it.
It's like she comes and goes on that stuff.
Okay, because she's doing this.
So she comes in. And all she.
That's a bad sign.
Right, that's not a good sign.
Hold on.
But I gave them all that
She's.
food. The canned food.
I don't know.
And I made sure Kiki got
Oh,
all
wow.
that.
Yes.
And I didn't want to leave no can, so I made sure that we had one can right when we got home.
You know, my legs.
But-
Yeah, because the little ones are not competing with her.
I bet.
No, the-
I bet.
She said before. So, but like, yeah, it was weird. It's like when we just got back, she's like this with the girl.
That is for you, nothing like that. And when I get there, sometimes all four of them were sleeping right on the chair by the door.
They sleep in a big pile of this.
Yeah.
That's where they were today when we got home.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Oh.
Good. And they sleep on the. Well, what used to be our little wine shelf, now they're all up in there. So.
Oh, yeah, they're, oh, well,
Up
one
on
of
the-
us, I don't remember
Between the shelves there.
which one was chewing on your mouth. You had left the computer and stuff on the floor, on top of a pile of paper, the one on top of the paper. Chewing away. So, if it doesn't work, I moved
I
it.
saw your nose drop.
And we all.
They don't press much.
you know, we generally don't get things. So I know, you know, a few things.
It's been forever since we've got there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 35 years since we've had there.
Well,
Yeah.
Glenn,
Yes, we fell apart this year.
he needs a kid. You need a kid.
Two cats and two dogs, but no.
Oh, I heard you got another.
Yeah,
It's
enough. He's pushing.
Okay, that's good.
Bet you he's pushing 80 pounds now, and he's only 7 months old.
Okay.
Yeah.
80 pounds.
Yeah, Pierce has got him under control, Whiskers doesn't.
It's getting.
Oh, okay.
Pierce will.
Pierce?
step back out.
Really? This is Pierce
Yeah,
the
that
cat.
starts to get a little.
Pierce the
weird,
black
so-
cat.
Oh, Pierce's.
This week,
Okay.
Okay.
He is,
a week from.
as soon as we got him,
Next week,
Pierce
we go to Smith.
tore open his nose.
Then
And
a
since
couple
then,
days, then next week. going
it's
back to
like-
Jersey,
Okay.
Pierce will come in,
and then
and
we're home a
he's,
couple weeks.
it's unbelievable how he. And Norton will put his nose under Pierce, and
Don't wanna do.
toss him up in the air about 6 or 8 inches.
So here.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
It's
wow.
unbelievable what the two of them do. I'm like,
Oh,
Unreal.
boy.
yep.
Debbie, how are you?
Good.
No vibing over there.
Trick to forget.
Well, that's why I'm not drinking. I want to remember.
What are they over at the parties?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're sitting in the bar. I gave up my seat, but, it may still be available.
Did you work today?
Well, I don't want to miss it.
Every day.
Yeah.
I was moving stuff around today. Had to pull some stuff up to Chincoteague and then come back down here. That was. Oh, yeah. It's busy. Yeah, we were there all weekend. We have a house there, so we were there all
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have 2 houses up there.
Oh, great.
They're right next to one another on the same
Okay.
piece of property.
Yeah.
One we rent out yearly and the
Yeah.
other one, we completely gutted, raised it for ourselves.
Wow.
It's a small 2-bedroom.
Oh,
It's
fantastic.
right where they do the pulling school. So we can sit on our front porch,
Well, right
on the front
Oh.
lawn,
Oh, well,
And-
we're not gonna be,
you know, it's
oh,
like,
too bad.
so.
Maybe we'll have to cancel.
It's nice, yeah. So we were up there all
Oh,
weekend with the grandkids, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
I
and
think
then
we're on the
Brenda's
20th.
got
Yeah, but she said it's not this one. it's
friends
next one.
coming
I'm gonna tell her
on
that.
Wednesday to park in our
Unless,
driveway and use the house for bathroom. and-
right.
and usually it's so hot, people take breaks at our house.
Yeah.
So,
Do you guys know each other?
I'm Katie Schwab.
no, I'm Glenn Smith.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, yeah, so this year Brenda's bringing our middle granddaughter.
Can you count?
You only figured that out.
So Brenda's coming.
Well, I
Tuesday
can
night
say
is
we
up.
can't make it.
I got some finishing touches
No,
to
I
do on the
won't.
house, so I'm doing that.
We're not gonna be
I'm just gonna bring
able
the middle granddaughter up on Wednesday, and we'll go down and watch.
to a relative's house. Well,
It is, we went,
so, yeah.
I usually go on the day of the swim, we used to sell water for the Cub Scouts. The Cub Scouts would set up a
Yeah.
tent on my front lawn and we'd sell water for the Cub Scouts. The Cub Scouts would come and do it,
Yeah, my brother.
and then
spend all his time.
Brenda and I would go up.
Yeah, he spent all his time.
Friday and watch them bring them back.
Oh,
yeah.
And there's nobody there watching.
Oh, wait, it's so much
It's just
better. Yeah, I feel so much better.
It's
We signed to.
I wouldn't wanna. waste your day.
But, yeah, talk about this. Goody,
It's
goody.
nice that I can leave.
All right.
We took the kids to Saturday night.
You should.
Ice cream.
Fine.
And we had a choice.
I'm not tech savvy. Chances
Mr.
might
Whitby.
be that, so.
Yeah.
We need a teeny bit of road.
Yeah.
A
There.
mosquito.
So I took them out and the line was out to the street
Oh my
and
God.
down the sidewalk at both places. So they were like, where are we going now? I said, there's one more place we can go. We went to the food store on Pinkerton, and I bought 2 containers of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. It cost me $12, and the kids enjoyed it more than I was like, wow, it would cost me $50. That's only $12.
Now it's just in the chair, let's go.
Yeah, there are.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it is good, yeah.
Maybe you're not giving.
That's yeah, is it waffles? Chesapeake, yes, they're in, Kokomo,
Okay.
just on the other side of the river. Yeah, they have a nice little creamery set up there. Yeah, it's cool if you go visit them, they have a swamp petting zoo out back. Well, so I'm going to, yeah. Yeah, there. That's in Kokomo, on the north side.
That's great, thank you, Erin.
They specialize.
Oh, did I leave my cat up there?
If I'm, see what these things.
Yeah.
If I'm moving the wrong. If I'm walking.
You can take minutes. Oh, it's a lifelong problem. Oh, I do that, I have to do that a lot. Oh, no. The days
I've had
The days. Well, I'm gonna be on deck, but I have.
Yep.
When you, you have to give me your hours.
Yeah.
Oh, look after your.
You won't worry about that.
Yeah, but I'll feed her purple.
Yep.
That's all.
Oh, yeah, having fun with babies. They were.
Yeah.
They really are. Somewhere towards you, I have some ping pong balls.
Oh, they love it. Oh, that's the thing that makes noise.
No, just ping pong balls, the white balls.
Yeah.
Just,
They're
yeah, right.
Yeah, but I also gave her, I found my cat.
Oh, sir.
I discovered I had a pack.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
So they went over to there. And they
They
love
love
them.
it.
They love them.
Yeah, they were busy.
I think tiny. Isn't that the gobbling cat, the like the tiny, it has what's big enough. Well, I heard you're also supportive and lovely of my kitty.
Yeah.
This new house.
We have-
They really like, so I can make.
Finally have.
A couple hard boiled eggs, rice.
One is rented to a family of 10 teachers.
You can try it. What else you got? You can try it. Try some of the quiches or no. Ready to keep it on, dry food.
We fully-
All right, well, if you want me to try.
And they come in.
I probably, it was what she
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but, June bug, she has to dry food down. A little bit of dry food. Then she gets a half of one of the small things, the little things. She gets rid of one mouse in every. Yeah. I like dry food, I like this, yeah, and then a little bit of the other. Yeah, well, cause they.
Some of it goes to, well, you're
Like, we had a nurse in.
I was like, when you're
6 months.
wondering, is your
And we
regular.
just had a surgeon in there, he was there for 2 months. Getting speech therapy. Who are reading. She's coming.
Yeah, it was very interesting when you had the window upstairs.
She said 3 months, it might be more. Okay. So, we're doing better. Spend this time, where we pay you for that.
And actually, they didn't read, they don't read the full statement about the meeting. There's actually a statement. Read the whole statement and they never.
There are some.
They should have posted that. Yeah, I think that, it's a little.
Brenda got it. This thing is.
Really.
Yeah, it's.
They signed it.
really.
Yeah,
it's
they
really-
can do that.
It's good setup.
They can-
Yep.
Good help.
Yep. Yep.
And does anybody know anything about the next service?
Yep.
Who? The new person?
I don't know.
Oh, Tom.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
see. Okay, and he taught me. Oh, nice. Yes, he has this giant basket. Yeah. Good guy. He tells me about, but I'm also looking for town council, but then he just. I'm so water. I guess. Yeah,
Husband and wife.
but the calcium helps that. Yeah, I think.
I read that too online and.
They would have son and 9 and.
Good idea. I did some older calcium pills that
You're
were
a
force
year
pills.
now.
I broke them up and put them on my
Just
meters.
got hired.
Yeah, they're getting a good early cut. And they get blossom and
Yeah,
they need calcium.
Okay.
Everything was
And
done.
you can also save up a bunch of eggshells and add a little water and run it through your blender and pour that into around them. Yeah. I make sort of that eggshell soup out of it.
Well, I was just saying to John that these buddies.
Nice.
And our mind is crazy, it's looking for. There's a place that made me think of really worse.
I mean, they're
It has to be really well rotted or it'll, you know, and it's, yeah, it'll burn stuff up and it's full.
We have.
The other thing is that horses, when they eat stuff, they're not very efficient chewers of a lot of stuff. So they'll eat something like dandelion, they like dandelion, okay, some of them like my horse, like the dandelion. And then what happens, you see it's passed through and it's done, and they're actually not dead. So they'll wind up spreading weeds. That's why you've gotta make sure it's composted and it gets hot.
So.
Because, yeah, because the pass through their system is they'll pass weed seeds through and then have it then come off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this spot I
What's
found on
Brenda's
Craigslist says.
It's just her, she sells fabric. It's
Oh,
just right here, it's right across the street
Yeah.
from County Courthouse.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
yeah. Now,
Yeah, she's only open on Wednesday.
where is it?
I just saw this.
Oh, okay.
And then she has
Yeah.
a quilting machine over.
I've gotta really work on that raised bed right now. Good year has been,
Right, so
good.
my garage to a.
My poor blueberries are like, they really have been.
I love blueberries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love blueberries too.
Yeah.
I planted them and.
Yeah.
I mean.
My one of the problems with them is they have really shallow roots.
Yeah.
And so,
Do the bulls eat them?
well, that can happen, but
No,
also
fine,
what
it's
can
a way to go.
happen is
There was
that,
another.
you know, if you have a dry patch, you're not well established yet, then they just, yeah, they dry out. They don't have a very deep.
It's very.
So I wanna go over the Nathan Beach blueberry farm.
Bonded.
And-
Everybody's bonded.
Say, I'm not- Just rows and rows and rows of.
Debbie, what's the thermostat set on? What? Wow. Thank you.
And
Yeah,
then-
but I've got short sleeves on. I should have bought a sweater.
And the farm is on the right. Yeah.
It worked out really well. Everything.
I'm sorry.
everything I used to do,
No, you pick them.
Same way with.
Yeah, they just opened.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we kept them. I'm glad we're not paying by the word.
Well, I don't know what's going on because it was an old house that closed in, and it was called.
She must have gone to the restroom.
Restroom. Here she is.
We need a. Does somebody have the motion to come back out of?
Nope.
Oh, Jesus, we don't have that motion either, do we?
Why don't we keep one of those
I don't understand. why we
taped
don't.
to the table?
We need to have that here. I know, we did have one here.
Tape it.
Yep.
Hold in here.
We could just, well, we have, you can call a roll call vote, but I need the language. Where did Sarah go? Oh,
Yeah. We're trying to get hooked up. to the wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you. Yeah, so everybody's.
You need some? I can go across the street. Maybe it's fun.
But I thought I had something for.
I think we can come up with it.
Right here.
All right, we're going to come back out of closed session. Can I have are we waiting on, seeing somebody come up with a motion to come back out of closed session? Sarah, can you come?
I'll try. I move that we exit closed session certifying that what we talked about in closed session was only the issues for which we went into closed session.
Second.
Well, okay, we need a roll call vote. Can you call a roll, please?
Yes.
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 Oswald?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. All right, we're now back into open session. We're going to continue on with our meeting. So there are no public hearings scheduled, no public presentation. No, so we're down to council discussion, discussing the parking ordinance. And we have that in front of us. This is something that the planning commission's been working on for 3 or 4 months, I'd say, a little more than that. And this is the proposed ordinance. We've had a public hearing on this. So it's up for adoption tonight. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So,
Trying to get the Zoom link. We're not able to find it.
oh, okay. All right, so let's have discussion about, we can have discussion about the parking ordinance. You want to go around, Ray? You want to start off? Anything, comments? Joy?
Yes. In February, the it's on. Should I speak up, Sarah?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
In February, the parking ordinance was sent back to the planning commission. This parking ordinance was sent back to the planning commission. And I looked to find on the website to review the comments at the public hearing because there were many that night. There were many concerns about this. Unfortunately, the website does not have audio, video, or minutes. So I couldn't find that there on the website. Fortunately, I had a copy of the minutes from that meeting. And Mary Clements made a comment. Priscilla Hart made a comment, and the public hearing was closed. And then Commissioner Byrd moved to recommend the parking ordinance to town council for approval. Commissioner Fry seconded the motion. After more discussion, the motion failed and was withdrawn. So my question is, has this been back to the planning commission? Do we need another public hearing?
I can't answer that question.
I think it does.
Did it go back to planning?
Yes.
Is the first question.
When? If it did, they didn't bring it to us.
Matt, I wasn't on the planning commission.
That point, it was recommended by planning commission. So.
When was that?
Written, the joint public hearing was February 26th.
That's the minutes that I'm looking at. February 26th, I'm reading from.
February 26th is the joint public hearing. that
Yes.
did with council.
Yes,
So I'm not sure what.
The question is.
I'm glad to.
it was
investigate,
recommended.
but I'm
glad to investigate it, but, you know, trying to sit here and recreate things on the spot with no warning is, I just can't do that. So I'll gladly investigate and you can table the parking conversation and
Well, I don't want to be I don't want to be accused of punting, but I'm confused as where we are in this process. Perhaps others are also, because it was not passed on February 26th by Planning Commission.
I thought they
It
recommended,
says in the minutes, after more discussion,
yeah.
the
What minutes,
motion failed and was withdrawn.
planning commission minutes, meetings or town council minutes?
That's the
minutes?
public hearing.
Town council.
Town
Mhm.
council.
So it needs to go back to Planning Commission, public hearing. Because there were many comments made that night that were very valid, I thought.
sure.
Can I see those minutes for a second? I remember, I know that the council decided not to had some questions and did not want to vote on it. I wonder if that's
My recollection is that the planning commission was to take it back to rework it. And indeed, in my recollection, the boundaries have changed since that meeting. And those are my questions about the thinking on the boundaries.
The boundaries of downtown.
The boundaries for the downtown district for parking.
it looks like we did refer it back to the planning commission. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we did refer it back to them and they made some corrections and sent it back. So
We have not received them. Unless you're saying that the copy in the packet tonight
yeah.
is back from, but wouldn't there have to be a joint meeting with the planning commission and the council
Well,
with public comment?
well, I think you're right that they have to vote on it.
Okay.
They never voted on it. We had a public hearing. If it's less restrictive, it's my understanding that you don't need another public hearing if it's a less restrictive ordinance or if it's more, but I don't have any problem with doing another public hearing.
Good.
Because I
don't
mean,
either.
because we can vote on it at the same time as a public hearing, correct? Yeah.
Took months on this
Right.
and did kick it back.
Right.
But did vote this in the affirmative, put it forward to you tonight, given the fact that the joint public hearing already took place.
Right.
You can act or you can choose not to act, but the choice is yours at this point.
And you're saying only if it's less restrictive and
Well, I'm not an attorney here, so I don't want to, there's two problems here. I'm like you, I don't want to punt this thing another 6 months down the road, another month down the road. But at the same time, I don't want to, violate the state law or procedure.
I think it's important that
Yeah.
we follow the process.
Yeah,
Because
the
it
problem is
was
we're a little
that-
unsure about what whether they voted. If they have a public hearing, they don't necessarily have to vote at that public hearing. So if they voted at a later time, that's okay. There was a public hearing.
Where's that on record?
Well,
Where is it on
it would be in
record
the
that they
minutes of
voted?
the minutes of the planning commission. Yeah,
which
Yeah.
means.
I think we need to
Yeah.
explore this further.
yeah. So
Could
that's
I
fine.
suggest, I had hoped to have an opportunity to ask for the rationale for the district, since it keeps changing. And so I'd like to understand their thinking about it.
The only reason that it changed was to try to add clarity. The
It's not
district-
clear.
The changes.
Well, it's a difficult paragraph to write. I don't.
Could you tell us what paragraph you're talking about, please? We can discuss if we want to discuss it for a couple minutes.
For tonight's handout, it's page 3 of 4, section 26
Page
42, 3, page
Four.
3.
I see.
And it's A, the limitation of parking to 3 hours in the downtown district. And it gives the boundaries as Market Street immediately east of College Avenue, traveling west on Market Street until the transition of King Street at the far west end of Market Street. Also included in the downtown district are North Street heading south from Town Hall to Market Street, the north spurs of both Ames Street and Mount Prospect Avenue bridges, up to Market Street, King Street, and Crockett Avenue in their entirety. So the downtown district would go down to the wharf, wrap back around all of King Street. And I
Yeah.
know that we had remarks before of
Yes, those are in the
that
minutes.
being awfully large and,
And they, during their planning commission meeting, they eliminated a lot of that,
okay.
like King Street, for example.
But the February
Look in the March minutes,
packet
perhaps.
and the March minutes and today's packet are exactly the same. There's not been any changes made anywhere. I compared them.
Question. Did you, Cindy, when you read that, did you say 2 hours or 3 hours?
If I said 2, it was an error. This says 3 hours. What I'm looking at.
If you're
That's-
looking at page 3 or 4, it says 2 hours.
Thinking about the copy you got tonight,
I
not the
can't-
copy that was.
I'm not looking at the copy I got tonight because I haven't had a chance to look at it.
The copy that we got tonight says 3 hours.
That was
The
the- we-
copy
we
that was
agreed on
in the
that at the last
packet
meeting.
says.
I'm
2.
looking at the copy in our packet. I just
Right.
received
Discussion.
this when I sat down, so I can't comment or begin to think
Well,
about
that's also what Matt sent us today.
at 3:34. I didn't have time to look at it before the meeting now.
Okay, well. Anyway,
That's fair.
I do have a couple of other questions when the time comes.
Well, so so what is your issue with the paragraph 2642I? You just don't think, you don't?
I feel like the lower end toward the wharf. I mean, I've seen, it's basically residential houses until you get to the wharf.
Right.
I guess I just don't think of it as part of downtown, and there, construction vehicles parked on the street for more than 2 or 3 hours. As people are working on those houses. You've seen it yourself. And then on King Street, I rarely see people parking all the way down and around the wharf unless it's some special event. I just don't see why we would include that. And that was what I was hoping to ask. I thought we did.
Well, that's what I'm telling you.
Well,
What was in the packet in February and what's in the packet today are exactly the same things. So it seems to me it needs to be sent back to Planning Commission. And I agree with Fletcher. There's no harm in having public comment. And
I'd like to have the planning commission meet with us.
yeah,
They can explain this to us.
Do you want me to arrange for a joint meeting? Or do you want them to take one more swing at this
No,
for you?
no.
well, that
Maybe
is
if they
the
could give
role.
me an explanation.
Or maybe we can find the correct minutes.
The explanation.
I have 'em right here.
might be as simple-
That's not updated.
Correct minutes from. Oh. That one.
This is a rather large problem and project to deal with, and I think it warrants time unto itself.
Couldn't agree more. There's with all the second floor residentials that we're putting in.
Right.
With all this merchants on the bottom floor, I think we need to get this right. And we still have time to get it right because they're still constructing these things. So I don't have I don't think it's punting. I think it's.
I think
I think it's doing due diligence.
Right,
Mhm.
and a work session just on this would work. I mean, I've asked for this before because this is a big deal.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why we did away with code last month.
The 12.
That just, and the reasoning was the apartments upstairs, we can't provide the floor space for the number need, but it eliminated parking all over the town.
All over town. It eliminated the requirement for off-street parking that we did not have.
R1, R2, R3.
We did not have that many spaces, period.
It was.
R1 is residential, it's two.
well, we
per-
agreed to change we agreed. Yeah.
That
What's
part
the
is in the
ratio?
code.
In where?
Of square
Where?
foot.
In this copy.
Oops.
Oh, the copy that 2 council members,
Yeah, and
It was the footage of the building to the parking spaces. And that has been a mishmash forever. And because of the way it's laid out, it always will be. It's a mishmash, but we need to make some other.
It's totally
some
gone.
clarity. We need
Right.
some clarity.
and as I've shared with some fellow council members, if you want to see a neighborhood deteriorate, do away with parking.
Well,
I can personally testify. You can also.
Both R1s are in this code. So-
Where? In the packet?
No.
That's why we need to work this out.
But Cindy
Yeah.
said this morning.
That is
that's-
setting a precedent for council members to,
You're right. I was trying to make it easier by.
I appreciate that.
including those changes that council members sent me. I
I,
will do that.
Well, we discussed the residential, we discussed at the last meeting, the problems with residential. When we did away with the code, we eliminated the residential and we wanted to bring the residential back in. So that's why this is in, but we certainly can bring it back out.
It was
Yeah,
in my motion
Yeah.
at the last meeting.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted it corrected.
if I could get, access to the minutes.
well, we're all agreed that we're gonna, revisit this.
Okay.
My question is, they've recommended 3-hour limit, right? And this document is 3 hours.
Who is they?
The the planning commission.
No, they can, in the packet, it's 2 hours.
Final draft that they give it's 3 hours.
What's that, the one that's the latest one that?
Yes, it's the latest one.
Okay, so we need to go back to,
Go back.
Okay.
No,
and make it,
Web, is that something we could see?
I haven't. read it.
this is, will be, public record here. Yeah, anybody wants to see this, we'll get, yeah, we'll give it to you right now. Yeah, if you want it, yeah. And, but, yeah, we need to go send this back to the planning, commission, let them, they need to make if they need to vote again on it. We need to set up a public hearing at the next meeting.
Session first, Mr. Mayor.
We've had,
This
well-
is all hot stuff to deal with.
well, we've had this on we've had this on the thing for like 4 months, maybe, and it hasn't changed much in 4 months. So,
You don't think
yeah.
so?
no, it is, okay. So, I mean, I think we,
It changed drastically last month when we abolished
not the-
parking throughout town.
different ordinance, different
But-
ordinance.
But you're saying you're gonna put
Yeah.
that back in this ordinance,
Yes.
in the one that.
We're not talking
council
about, they're
members
two different ordinances. I agree, yeah, but we're talking about the parking ordinance here. And I think we need to send it back to the planning commission, which is an open meeting. Council wants to come, they can come, and then they need to come up with a recommendation and, we need to study this and we can have a public hearing and we could, at the next meeting, and we can talk about it again. Is that,
Okay. Is it appropriate to ask a couple of specific questions to be sent to the planning commission?
well,
at this
if,
point?
if council so desires, it's not up to a personal, if you
I'm
want.
not ready to discuss
Well,
at this
I-
point. but
I have a couple of things I would like to raise, if I
Right,
may.
okay, sure, yeah.
On page 2, item 2639 D1. If after 7 days from the date, the owner of such property, it doesn't say what date. There's a bunch of scratched out stuff, but the unscratched out.
Is from the date of nothing.
After 7 days from that date, so I think.
Oh,
the date of
that-
violation.
Okay, that needs to be clarified.
And how is that person going to be notified? Because that's crossed out. The registered owner of the vehicle, trailer, or camper shall be violation.
Shall receive a parking violation.
Yeah, that needs fixed.
But I have the version where all of those changes were accepted, so I can read it just like it would be read. So I can see it says, if after 7 days from that date, the owner of such property has failed to remove said property, the town, acting through its agents or employees, may have that property removed. So it's a lot easier to read after the changes have been accepted.
Right. Well,
So
what, I think
working
what,
with strike-
yeah,
stuff is-
I think what Joy is saying though is what will the delivery mode be for presenting the parking violation notification to the owner?
Because there's serious consequences.
That stuff is struck
Sure.
out, all the how it's going to be done is struck out.
their parking violations, the way they put their parking
Okay.
violations. So,
That needs to be in the code. How it's
Oh.
delivered.
police officer.
Well, I'm sure that's in the code about how to do a parking, yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Then in the next,
Well, the reason I'm sorry, Sarah, but
Okay.
the reason I asked is because it was to be received by registered or certified mail. So now it will be a police officer delivering it to the whoever it belongs to. Okay,
Notification hasn't, no longer has to be done by certified mail or return receipt mail. general US Postal Service will do, and then of course, any of the tracking services will do. Posting on a door, posting on a doorknob, all of those count as legal notice now.
Okay,
Well, can we just say receive a parking violation by regular USPS mail or something?
I don't know.
We can
I don't
depend
wanna
on it
put words
anymore.
in the chief's mouth because I
Okay.
don't know exactly know how they do that best. I.
How about-
So,
from the town police?
receiving a parking
Hmm.
violation. Police, because right above that, it says enforcement by.
If they don't come back for 7
Okay.
days, we can sell it.
Okay, that's got it then. The other parts I had were in the next 2640C. Handicapped spaces. I had raised a question about the mention of the vehicle being occupied by the handicapped person, which you could interpret to mean that the handicapped person had to stay in the car the whole time. And that's been changed in what we're seeing tonight to operated by, but if it's my cousin Bill and his wife Colette, he drives and she stays in her power chair in the passenger side. So she's not operating the vehicle, but the vehicle is being operated for her benefit. So I don't know what the right wording is, but it needs to be more flexible to say that the person
Issue. We could put something in there supporting the person who's.
I don't know what the fix is, but
How
it's
about occupied or operated?
okay.
Won't we have this discussion?
And then in the last line of that,
At the planning commission. We don't
in
need,
the last line of that, it's got FINA instead of fine.
yeah, we don't need to be doing this. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
let's
have
bring these up
discussion.
at the planning commission
Yeah,
meeting.
okay.
We're getting, yeah, yeah, we don't, this is their job. Yeah, yeah, so let's, the planning commission meeting is, the 5th, yeah, so we'll bring this back to the planning commission. And anybody wants to come and, voice whatever they want, and then it's going to come back to us for a public hearing, and then, another joint public hearing, and then the planning commission will vote again to recommend it to us, and then we can adopt it or not,
Well, if they show up at a public hearing, they should have already adopted.
the town, yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's not,
I didn't last
they're
time.
supposed to listen to the public before they adopt it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So technically they have to hear the public hearing before they vote. Otherwise, what's the point of the public hearing if they can't change? Yeah. But I think you can take care of that. All right. So we'll move on. In the final, yeah. Anyway, so we're, next thing is, discussion of town staff support for an Hancock Economic Development Authority. Is that? I don't know what,
Is that mine?
no.
Yeah, I'll take this one. It was a few meetings back, council members said that they thought that I might be stretching a little bit and by taking some time away from the Hancock Economic Development Authority, they could be acting as a more independent body and I could save some time.
And you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we don't need,
So there's nothing.
no, there's nothing discussed. There is,
But I was really,
it's administrative, it says, yeah. Yeah. Well, they have some money to, a little bit to hire some staff. I mean, if they needed something, correct?
Could you share with us, Matt, what specifically you will be stepping away from?
What I still will do, let me
Okay.
put it that way,
All right.
is the applications for reimbursement that the lender requires. I'll take care of that. We've already distributed 604,000 of the $1 million loan. They've got a split now moving forward where we'll do more applications with smaller amounts, but at the end of the day, those applications go through the town's, it's called CAMS, but
Right.
that system.
You'll still do the
I will
camps.
still absolutely do that. What confuses me at this point is you know, eventually they're gonna start receiving loan payments. And they're gonna deposit those loan payments into a bank account. And that's the extent of the work. At this point, it should be grant research. It should be finding those things that are gonna benefit our community long-term. It should be doing all of the legwork, all the application, all the administration work. That's a lot of work if it's left to me to do for that entire group. So that's where I'd say, let me take care of the administration of those grants that we've already received. But let me step back from those that we haven't received or even know about yet.
Was this your idea to step back?
Now, one of the council members said it at a public meeting.
It was me, Mavis. Oh, okay. That's okay. Matt, doesn't the EDA also need to set up a revolving loan fund to relend the money and when payments come back?
That's the purpose of that checkbook. They're gonna get the loan payments and they're gonna deposit it into their checkbook. And then they're gonna decide what to do with it. I mean, that's their role.
Right, but they have to have some kind of plan about who they're gonna lend it to and
That's
all that
also their
stuff.
plan. That's also their role,
Right.
you know, so if they, you know,
When do the payments start? They don't start till next year, right? In the next,
yeah, they start the month after they get their certificate of occupancy, so they're moving along, but
Okay.
still a few months from that.
okay. Well, all righty. So we don't need any vote on this or anything. You just let the EDA know. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
All right, okay. All right, okay, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, discuss notes from the Queen Street parking and the parking meeting. Cindy, that's your,
Well, since I took the notes, I'm not sure how much detail you want me to go into. The major topics discussed were the traffic flow. Fraser Associates had made a recommendation, and I'm going to try to articulate this, but it's really hard without a map or something. They had suggested basically that the town traffic flow come down Market Street so that visitors.
can I back you up and tell you the purpose of the meeting, first of all?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Well, the purpose was to identify hear the input from the stakeholders of the immediate properties around the parking lot, hear what their concerns were. They had anything, Fletcher?
No, no decisions were being made. We just
No,
getting
no.
input. Yeah, okay.
We're
thank
just
you.
getting input, and as I understood it, we'll continue this process of getting input with another meeting with that group prior to moving to a smaller group to begin more detailed planning. But anyway, back to the traffic flow. So there was a suggestion that traffic come through town so that visitors would see all of the businesses before parking. And so that would lead them to Ames Street, turn into Ames Street, and I guess somewhere at the curve where it curves, or Queen Street, I'm sorry, down Ames, left into Queen, and somewhere where Queen turns to go back into Market, it would become one-way egress there, although you could also go back out Ames Street. So there was a lot of discussion about the pros and cons of that. I don't know how many of you have read the meeting minutes that were attached to your packet, but that kind of outlines the whole thing. The next topic was lighting. Honestly, that didn't seem to be a large concern for anybody beyond the fact that we have sufficient lighting and that, it'd be safe. There were some comments that we could potentially adjust the lighting levels based on motion sensors or time of day, something like that, so that we didn't have too much light coming into the residential properties bordering that area. Landscaping, we talked about that a bit. That kind of got into the large issue of the oak tree. As Mavis has pointed out at a recent meeting, the tree has been dropping large limbs. And I rode by it tonight before I came to a meeting. There's more dead limbs in the top of the tree waiting to fall. So it's becoming something of a danger. So that goes into, what do we do? Do we preserve it at all costs? How much money do we spend on it? Do we spend forever until it just falls over? It occupies about a third of that area in the back. Obviously, if you're planning parking, it would be nice to regain that third. If we chose to keep the tree, then at some point, you're going to have to redo the parking area. So we went back and forth with ideas. Certainly no decisions were made, and it's going to be a lengthy discussion, and we hope to get written documents from the arborist and hopefully from our attorney about the liability for the town should anybody be injured by falling limbs. Let's see. Drainage, we talked about that a little bit. Honestly, I'm not much of a drainage expert, but the bottom line is we don't want a totally muddy area back there. So, but of course, whoever's hired eventually to do the engineering would work on those drainage issues. Ingress and egress from the driveways adjoining the parking lot. Obviously, the homeowners want to be able to get out of their driveways, and I don't think there was extensive discussion on that topic. The summer farmers market was the next topic. There have been suggestions about backing up, how to describe this, okay. Let's say you enter Queen Street between Roseland and the Prent Cottage. And you would come close to where the tree is, and the farmers with their trucks would kind of back up, not under the tree, but there's some grassy area there that they can back up into and set up their tents in front, and then have some more just tents opposite that. It would be closed to pedestrians. Parking would occur in the main part of the lot, and they would go in and out Ames Street. Let's see. There was, I might have this in the wrong space, but there was considerable discussion from Scott Chandler about his customers and dropping people off who might be disabled or unable to walk long distances and, you know, wanting to have access easily to his business. There was also a discussion about the wrestling group that practices in the Prent Cottage and where they're parking. There is a town right-of-way in there that really, to my knowledge, isn't marked. You'd have to be looking at a map, and then you're trying to look at it and say, well, people are parking there. So that's yet another issue. Finally, to the right-of-ways across property lines. Property lines back there are a mess. I mean, they're all over the place. And currently, the town needs to get a right-of-way to access the parking lot through the Lilliston property. The bakery needs access through the Lilliston property. And there was some confusion about the bank's right-of-way and where that ended. So one of the action items was for people to begin working on their right-of-ways where they were and try to iron out these problems before we start getting to the actual planning, because we need to know where they are. I think were some other topics.
That's for some minor stuff, I think, after that, yeah.
There was a suggestion that the facades at the back of the buildings needed work. There's a dumpster behind the businesses that's got to be addressed by whomever does the plan. Someone asked about trash receptacles, and of course the plan will cover trash receptacles, benches, and plantings. We did try to get a free plan from Fraser Associates, but they said they would not be able to do that now. So unfortunately, we will have to, Fraser works with Main Street and provides free renderings for Main Street, but those won't be available for this project. There was a question about Wi-Fi because the vendors for the market use it for their credit card transactions, and Matt was going to investigate that. There was a question about asphalt and whether it would be permeable, I think, and Matt responded that he had a quote for 2 inches of impermeable asphalt over the existing lot. But depending on grading and drainage, that could change. Pathways were an issue from the parking lot to Market Street. importance of the lighting for those pathways. I think that's about it. There's more detail in what you have in your packets. And as I said, we'll meet again as a large group and I'll take notes again and we'll get a chance to review those. Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Is it a given that the farmer's market is going to be on Queen Street? Is it a given
No.
that,
Nothing's.
I'm just
yeah.
asking a question. Is
I,
it a
no
given?
decisions were made at that meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you're talking about trash dumpsters and that would be a normal space for a business to have it. And you can't ask them to build a garage or something for their dumpster so it doesn't look bad.
Oh, I
So,
don't
mean, you
think
don't
that
want
was
to
the
impose
issue.
any extra expense
I think
there.
it was issued egress to the dumpster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was more
Okay,
the issue.
but
Yeah.
that's what. okay.
Yeah, I don't think we need to get into the,
I
into
don't
the
wanna get
specific
into
things.
any
Yeah.
more Details about it. I just wanted to know, first of all,
No decisions. Yeah, but anything. Yeah. So we need action. I guess we need to, we're waiting on, some information from the, about the tree. And we're going to have some people hopefully have their, easements set up, somewhat,
and what would the second meeting be focused on?
Well, one thing I'd hope to do is bring any comments back from this group.
well,
Okay,
we just
I
said,
have a comment.
Okay.
Do we have a design for this? Because
No.
that concerns me that none of us are parking lot
no,
experts
we
here.
were trying to, yeah,
So where is our, we're trying to save a tree in town. And there was much research went into parking lot design before any changes were made. When you make changes in a parking lot. So who's the expert here that's going to come up with the
We're
design?
not at that point yet.
Yeah,
You're
this
getting
is-
the input. What I hear you
for
saying is
that
Fraser
plan.
won't do it.
no, we're going to
correct.
have to.
We just tried to see if we could find a free option. That's all.
So
You get what you pay for.
we're going to have to spend some money on a, hiring an engineer and hiring, if he has
Good.
somebody that has parking lot experience or, yeah, so we're going to,
Did Hill
but,
do something on this?
that, they did just a real brief sketch. Yeah,
So this is to gather as much input as possible to provide to whoever
Okay.
is
thank
going to
you.
do the actual design so that when it comes down to it, there aren't any surprises like the issue that we talked about last time of the tractor trailer getting to the back of the bakery.
right.
And
To bring all of those issues out of the woodwork and have them up front.
good, very good.
Um,
So this is an open meeting. Where do you meet?
Right here.
So people could attend? And you'll post that on the website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I
Okay.
think, I think a bunch of people attended and they said, spoke there, and I don't know if they're going to come back. Yeah,
This meeting was specifically for the
yeah, the parties,
residents
the residents
around
around
there,
it, yeah.
gathering their input.
Yeah.
Now, the next meeting could easily be more people. Good.
One question about the tree and especially about the limbs that you spotted. Is there anything underway that would address removing those before they fall, or do they have to wait to fall?
Well, the tree calls for a tall crowning. The issue is there's no bucket truck on shore that's tall enough to reach the top. It would need 100-foot truck, so A&N has offered the next time they get their big truck up here, that they would go up and take that top limb off. But until then, I hope we all remember it's lightning protected. It's got cable in a lot of its branches so that it makes sure it's stabilized. It gets fertilized twice a year. So it's something that we got a grant for. We spent a lot of money on it, we care for deeply. So if we can get that big truck,
Mhm.
I think
Like
it'll make
this idea.
Is it getting water when we're in drought?
that part I can say.
Can I say that my concerns are liability if someone is hurt?
And may I say that it's awfully nice to want to protect that tree, but we've got thousands of people to protect, hundreds of people anyway. But I know that the limbs will continue to drop. I have
pine trees along my house that, they keep bringing an arborist over, then VDOT is keeps saying, yeah, the tree's still got green up there, it's all right. And then it drops a limb.
Well, I
This
thi-
is
I-
going to keep happening.
I think we looked at coming up with plan A and plan B about the tree. So that's still in the works, if something happens to the tree, or have two original plans, and then we're going to have to decide, council will have to decide if we have, these, about what the plans are. So we're still working on this. Yeah, and it's public, they're public meetings, so we're still working on it. All right, any other thing about the parking lot?
Any other questions?
Okay. All right, committee reports, personnel?
Oh, that's me too. I think that we need to have a personnel committee meeting in August. It's time for us to work on our annual town manager evaluation. So please put that on your calendar so we can work on that.
Okay. And they're going to get a form?
August 6th, and they're usually at 3:30 is what they've been in the previous days. August 6th.
Okay.
And you say you're working on creating a new evaluation?
Fletcher and I have worked on a draft. We'll share that. And of course, everyone will have input to it. They can change it, whatever.
Yes. Council.
No,
Whole
the
all
council.
council, whole council.
The council, the
Please-
full council. Well, whatever. It's normally been 3:30. It's up to y'all.
I think it's let's keep it at the normal time, 3:30. Yeah, and we'll go into closed session at a regular meeting to discuss it at later, but this is just the original thing. All right, on Hancock Main Street.
Okay, where did I put that one? Okay, Main Street has started meeting with the town stakeholders to plan advertising and events around the CB's October bike tour. Main Street's also hosting 2 community engagement events in September. There'll be an uptown event at the Peninsula Center on September 5th from 5 to 8. And there'll be a second one downtown at the Historic and Hancock School, September 7th from 10 to 1. These events are designed to get residents, business, and tourist feedback about what's working well in the town and any comments that they can make about what we could improve. Main Street will also send a postcard with a QR code for an online survey, and then that data will be collected and used for future programming. Main Street will soon apply for the Virginia Tourism Commission Micro Business Grant to help market our businesses in the off-season. The grant, if approved, would be $10,000, and the match is an in-kind match. In the past, it's been used to promote the Valentine Weekend in Hancock, rack card printing, and ad efforts outside of the market. And finally, Main Street's added a new member, Cindy Mackey. I'm not just sure if she retired from Otto, the company that did the town logo, or is she retired, Matt? Is that right? She lives here in town. That's it.
Okay, Planning Commission, they didn't meet, right? Correct?
You skipped me.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was just getting, Sarah, on Historic and Hancock School?
Okay, the July 3rd was very busy at the school. There were over 400 ice cream lovers who came and enjoyed music, ice cream, playing on the playground. Also got to see Open Studios, bless you, for Wine Wednesday. It was perfect evening, just really nice. And the Paul Knowles soccer camp was supposed to start today, but it got rained out, so they're going to try to start tomorrow. Usually they have about 80 kids and 15 to 20 assistant coaches, so that's a busy time. Construction on the pavilion is progressing nicely and fundraising efforts continue. There has been a substantial gift by an anonymous donor to be used to match other funds raised starting in May. And there will be a search for a new office assistant and executive director. There is work underway in cooperation with OBCA for a council candidate forum coming up before the election. The next Wine Wednesday is August 7th, and dovetailing with what Cindy mentioned about the CB's bike tour, that will be the kickoff, and the conclusion of that will be at the school, October 25th and 26th. There'll be a Friday evening free event, and then gathering from there, leaving from there, returning there. The Champagne and Oyster fundraiser is on Sunday, November 17th. And the Artisan Guild Holiday Tour will include the school as a site the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving. And the Holiday Artisan Market in coordination with Christmas Inn in Hancock will be December 14th. So that takes us through the end of the year. Any questions?
Did you, but a little update, about the heating system? They're still, yeah. Do you know anything about?
I don't have any details on that.
Yeah, they're still working on getting, they're still getting, well, no, they're still getting estimates on the cost of several different types. They've had 3 or 4 different people looking at things. So they haven't gotten their information together yet. That's ongoing
The
still.
board meets again this Thursday, so we're just before it.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Any questions for Sarah about the school? Okay. Waterfront. Matt? We didn't.
Actually, it got canceled.
Yeah, canceled. Yeah, the planning commission got canceled too. Yeah. So last economic development, Joy?
We've not met.
Okay. All right, we're on to public comment. Priscilla, you're first up.
I'm Priscilla Hart. I live in downtown Onancock, and I am a taxpayer. I am here to tell you that Article 12 off-street parking is still on the books. Last month at the town council meeting, you took an action which was unlawful. You removed Article 12 off-street parking. Let me read to you the Code of Virginia that addresses planning, land, and zoning, advertisements of plans, ordinances, joint public hearings. I'm going to read the pertinent section. The local planning commission shall not recommend nor the governing body adopt any plan, ordinance, or amendment thereof until notice of intention to do so has been published once a week for 2 consecutive weeks in some newspaper. I can read more, but the next important thing is the notice for both the local planning commission and the governing body may be published concurrently. Couple of lines down, since I'm short on time, 3 minutes. If a joint hearing is held, then public notice as set forth in this subsection need be given only by the governing body. As used in this subsection, 2 successive weeks means that such notice shall be published at least twice in a newspaper. The June 24th meeting was published once in the Eastern Shore Post. May 24th. Therefore, your action to remove Article 12 didn't happen. It's null and void. What you have to do is go back, do it all over. You've got to go back to the planning commission. They've got to discuss it or do whatever they're going to do. After they finish with that, they will, I suppose, send it here. And you'll address it further. If you want to make some changes, it'll go back to them. And then, of course, you have to publish notice. And you're going to have to publish notice twice. So that action that you took to remove Article 12 off-street parking didn't happen. It's null and void according to Virginia law, and I gave you a copy. And just so you know, and there's no confusion, that law was in effect on June 22nd when you had that meeting. The law has changed since. It changed on July 1st, so it's a little different. So now when you go back,
to do it all over again. Eric Gregory could probably tell you more about that. But, that is where we are with Article 12, off-street parking. It did not go away. Legally, it's on the books.
Thank you for.
I made it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. All right,
Yeah.
I think I think it's a legal matter. You need to talk to Eric. Yeah, let's talk to Eric about that. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we need to talk to our attorney. Yeah, yeah. Because it's a legal matter, she's coding code. I'm not an attorney. Well, she just asked it.
What she said,
Yeah.
it's fine, legal, but what we did, when we canceled the Article 12 was to cancel the change. What's still in effect is what was there before.
We don't know that. Nobody's, we need to talk to our attorney. It looks like it, but we need to talk to our attorney. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the only thing we can do. Yeah.
Well, we've always operated with the understanding that anytime there's a change in code, there's a public hearing.
Well, there was a public hearing. There's no question there wasn't a public hearing.
Article 12?
There was, yeah, no,
Oh.
we needed 2 notices. There was a public hearing and there was a
Okay.
notice.
All right.
Her intention is that we failed to put the second notice. Yes, right. Yeah, right. No, you're correct. Yeah. Yes, we will find, we will find out what we have to do when we talk to our attorney. Okay, thank you. Yeah. You're not, you're not an attorney. We will find out. I agree with you. Yeah, we need to find out, but you just can't stand up and say it goes away because, I mean, we need to find out from an attorney and whether we follow the things legally. Yeah. Yeah. And there's some penalties for not doing things right. It doesn't, and we'll find out about that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No, I agree with you. We need to find out, but we're not going to change anything without a legal opinion. Yeah. All right. What? Yeah. Yeah. We think we did. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. We need to find out what's going on, but we're not going to, doesn't change anything with what's already happened.
So if there were to be a sale of a property while we're in limbo here, how does that work?
I'm sorry. I don't understand. You've had your time. I don't, can you talk to us afterwards? Yeah. Yeah. I don't, what's this? We're not selling any property here. Yeah. Thank you. Rosemary?
Hello, everyone. I'm Rosemary Popero from 9 Holly Street, and I'm beating the drum again about the water for the coastal development. So at the last meeting, it was stated there's enough water in the aquifer. We know there's enough water in the aquifer. There's no question about that. But the question is, we need a hydrologist, an independent hydrologist, to tell us whether we're vulnerable to saltwater intrusion in any of our wells because of rising sea levels and increased pumping, and also whether we're susceptible to ground settlement. And those things are very possible. I don't know. I don't think anybody here knows. The next thing is we need a water engineer, notwithstanding the fact that the company who upgraded our system says we're doing fine. They have a vested interest in saying we're doing fine, because if we do need more infrastructure, either short-term or long-term, who's going to get the business? They are. We need an independent company to come in and assess, do we need something? Do we not need something? We could be fine on both these things. I really don't know, but I don't think anybody else in this room knows either. And the last thing is, we were initially told there was 0 cost to the town, but at the last meeting, Matt mentioned that there may be some cost to the town. Now, Coastal, Chris Carbow said, we being Coastal, only has to connect to a line which is going to be on Fairgrounds Road. Their entrance on Fairgrounds Road is about, my guess is, at least a half a mile in from Market Street. So who's paying for that line from Market Street to Fairgrounds Road. If it's going to be the town, it could be a substantial cost. And again, that would be something that the water engineer looks at. I think it's prudent because it's almost 500 homes there. It's another 500 homes somewhere else, that this be investigated before this moves forward. Because what it often is in this town is that decisions are made, but you don't follow either best practices or prudent standard practices in construction. And I've been involved in a lot of construction to hire the qualified people and say, okay, what are the costs? It doesn't cost so much money for that, but you will be able to make an intelligent, considered decision. And I think it's incumbent upon all of you to do that on behalf of your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jay Miller?
Jay Miller from 79 Market Street. Well, Rosemary just took like half of what I was going to talk about. And what I'm most interested in is that it would appear that we already have a commitment to hook the developed 500 townhouse development to our water supply. Is that true? I mean, we have a letter of intent, email, or, I mean, what's the nature of our commitment to them in order to hook to our system?
I mean, the letter is public record. It's just yeah.
Infrastructure that would be interested in talking with them. They're starting to fill out an application, but they have not completed their application yet. So I don't have anything in hand and we don't have any commitment.
Well, I mean, well, what happens I mean, who is in the driver's seat for the commitment then? We've already, the town and the town manager has already agreed to whenever the developer decides that he wants to hook up, that he can. So, but is that true?
That if we had the capacity and the infrastructure, that we'd be interested in discussing further.
All right. So my other question is, who owns the storm drain that goes right down through Market Street? Yeah, VDOT. Has anybody talked to VDOT about whether this developer has plans to dump his runoff into the same storm drain that we use?
That was part of their comprehensive plan with stormwater management.
Was they going to go into the VDOT drain?
It was part of their comprehensive plan that got them their permit.
I would think it would go into the north branch. It would make sense to me. It wouldn't come across that. Yeah. I'm not an engineer, but yeah.
They've also got significant potential.
Yeah, they got a huge pond over there. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But the reason why I'm saying that is that you might remember, my 3 minutes are running up, might remember a couple of years ago when we had a superstorm. And the superstorm overloaded our current storm drain system. And my house turned into an island because I have all the runoff from Car Place and whoever is attached to that drainage ditch that goes alongside my property. And I have a storm drain pipe that goes under my driveway. And I had 3 feet of water in my property. So I had floods. I don't have flood insurance, but it was in my garage. It had raised to such an extent that it raised that level. It would behoove us then, I think, in order to say that trying to add another 500 house runoff to that system then would be a bad idea.
I think we can find that out pretty easily by looking at their plan. Matt can probably find that out, where it's going, but I will find that out. I mean, they had to submit a storm water drain. Yeah.
County.
Yeah.
Gladly share the details.
Yeah. And we can find that out. But thank you for your comments. Yeah.
And in what form, I mean, are we gonna have to hunt around in the county?
No, I think the
Yeah.
town needs to behove itself to find out for us. You're right. I don't want 500 more houses draining down Market Street. Yeah, and I think that you make a good point, but we can find that out. Yeah. I think we will do that. Yeah.
All right.
For you. Yes.
In some fashion.
By the next meeting, we'll have some information. Yeah. Thank you. Casey Greer.
Casey Greer, 74 Market Street. Last time when I talked, I mentioned the idea of doing some kind of more coherent and clear public presentation about the nature of the town budget, so that when people responded to the budget with their plans or desires, that we had a better sense about how the budget sort of worked. It's not that the existing budget is impenetrable, but I think for most ordinary folks, 40 pages is a lot to try to absorb. So what I wanted to talk about today was art support, art and culture support. And my thought here is that we had a number of organizations turn up who wanted support, North Street, the school, and there may be others as well who I don't recall. And what I'd like to suggest is that the town think about, if it has a deep commitment to supporting arts and culture, that it consider taking, after it has figured out what its required services are and what it's going to have to do in a year, that it think about actually setting aside a fund, a certain amount of money every year, and it could vary depending on how prosperous we are, to support arts and culture. And that what would happen is arts and culture organizations within the town limits would be invited to produce simple proposals to explain things they wanted to do. North Street could explain why it deserved additional funds. Other organizations I think there's other organizations like the blacksmith shop that could participate in a process like this, and that a small group of citizens could be the grants panel. The grants application process could be extremely simple, a 2-page process where they say, we would like to, for example, replace the roof in the blacksmith shop or something like that. And the 1 page would explain why they want to do it, and then they would offer a 1-page budget. And then a citizens panel that includes a member of the town council would be responsible for distributing that money. Okay, so what that would do is move this issue of these demands popping up or these requests popping up, and they just sort of pop up and they're kind of floating out there. They don't really have a place in the budget. And at the same time, I think we all agree that supporting arts and culture, for example, the concert series at the church, which I'm a great fan of, that those kinds of things might be able to apply for 5,000, 10,000, whatever, for public programming. And we could establish some guidelines like admission to an event needs to be free, for example, or something along those lines, so that it was widely available to the public. But I think that might be a way to demonstrate the town's commitment to promoting arts and culture, not just for tourism, but for the quality of life of our own citizens. And that at the same time, it would get people involved in the process of determining how to spend that amount of money. It could be as small as 25,000, right? Could be a small amount, and then we could sort of see how it works over a period of 3 years. Maybe it would be a 3-year process where we would use it as a lab to see if this idea really works or not, and whether it sort of spawns some fresh new cultural activity as well as serving existing ones. Just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Good comment. Greg Feldhaus?
Greg Feldhausen, resident of Anacog. I have kind of a smorgasbord of ideas that have come to mind with this evening's discussions. Cindy, I want to thank you for your work on Queen Street. Sarah, I'd like to thank you for your comments about the school. you've worked hard on the Queen Street thing. I thank you again. So a number of ideas come to mind. One would be, as I've watched the video here this evening, I think it would be a very good idea for town council to recommend that Mr. Spuck's position in the room be changed to where that computer module is, so that he can be seen on the video and heard more clearly by the audience and attendees. Simple request. Secondly, supporting the water issue. I would suggest that an engineer look at the town's water supply and distribution system. If pressures are increased with additional use, I wonder how strong our system is and its capability of supporting that extra pressurization. And then to the elephant in the room, which has been a thing that I think all of us are aware of, and that would be the Onancock School. I'm curious to know who paid for the recent visual assessment of the shortcomings at the school. I'd appreciate Sarah's input about the social events going on at Onancock School, but I think it would be a great value to also find out what progress is being made, such as the heating system and other shortcomings that need to be fairly distributed and supported by this town, not just the Friends of Onancock School. It's going to be a huge project, and to pretend that it isn't there and that it needs to be addressed is crazy. I mean, it is a huge burden potentially on this town and a huge opportunity. So I would suggest that we all look at that and develop a plan, a committee, whatever you want to call it, to begin to address what could be either a great event, great founding for our whole town, or a real disaster. So it's time to look at that in more detail and not avoid discussing it. Thank you.
Dana?
A lot of good ideas tonight. In listening to them, I really think, once again, we love Onancock. We love it how it is. We want it to grow in a positive way that benefits all the citizens. And I wonder if we might at some point have a meeting or some kind of a meeting of the minds of citizens on how we do want Onancock to grow in terms of these developments, water usage, how we might handle climate change and big weather impacts like that, what we're doing with the ecotourism in terms of like the dark sky that we've been shooting for and where those lights are, when that's going to happen. And I just feel like we are going forward on a number of projects. And as citizens, we keep having to play catch up, like, surprise, this is happening. And then we're all kind of like, wait. And it would be nice to have these subjects in our future so we can think about them and then we can meet and discuss them, in a very positive way where it's going to work out instead of people being defensive and us trying to play catch up and get all the information. So for instance, with this Article 12, we were out of town and I only heard about this when I came back, but parking is already a little bit of a mosh pit downtown. And as we know, we've been working on the 3-hour thing, 2-hour, whatever it is, to try to rectify that. And when we came to town last March, we bought 25A for a business. We bought the lot behind it because we were thinking we would put a little shotgun house there or a business back there or some kind of a building. We were told in no uncertain terms by town manager, mayor, several other people that we could not do that without having parking spaces. So we were like, well, I guess we won't be using that bit of land and it's just going to sit behind 25A and we're going to have to spend more money and try to find land for a house. Now that worked out well because we bought 85 Market Street and now we're having hopefully you'll say, looks a little better these days. But I would just love if there could be a way where the subjects that are coming before the committee, come before everybody beforehand so that we can discuss them. Article 12 is a big deal. You know, there almost appears like there's a little conflict of interest in how quickly that came down the pike and went away. And, you know, there is some real estate sales going on that will be impacted positively by that ordinance not being in place, but everybody else had to abide. And that's my comment.
Thank you. Anybody else? Miss anybody? Okay, that ends our public comment. Mayor's report, I've got a couple things. Unfortunately, one of our, I'd like to mention that one of our long-term members of the Planning Commission, Bill Bagel, passed away last week. He was on the Planning Commission for, I mean, way before I was even, probably back in the 80s. Yeah. Long-serving, you know, on the Planning Commission, and a huge asset to the town, and we're going to greatly miss him. There's I don't think there's a thing coming up at the blacksmith shop. Is that's that? No, it's not. But I don't think we have another meeting before then. I just want to let that people
We
know.
don't, it is
Yeah.
Saturday, August 24th from 10 to 3.
Yeah, so it's a pretty neat event going on at the blacksmith shop. If you want to, I think it's like a box lunch and a little presentation. They're going to have somebody there. So please keep in mind if you got some time to come to that. I think somebody mentioned about the water engineer. We have a water engineer. We're going to get him down here and talk to us as a first step. And if we're unhappy with what he says, we will follow up with that. But we have not given up on that. I think that's certainly going to happen. And I think the final comment is that the Main Street visioning thing is coming up, and if you have comments about how what direction you want to see the town go, they pass that information on to the town. They do a lot of data collection, so it's not just for Main Street. It's what you want. They did it a few years ago, and we're still using some of that data. So if you have interest in visioning for the town, please come to one of those 2 sessions. That's all I've got. Okay. Town manager's report.
Finished our fiscal year. The year really was strongest in the sewer department. I know it sounds silly given the fact that we don't have a sewer department anymore, but the contract that we negotiated with HRSD allowed us to continue to do billing, and they maintain the infrastructure. So that's been really beneficial to the town, and I'll get into the tangible part of that in a little while. There weren't any extraordinary events other than if you remember right, we purchased the trailer, the chipper, and the truck at one, and it took 3 years to get here because of COVID and everything else. So that ended up hitting, but other than that, everything looks streamlined. There was no extraordinary items for staffing. There was nothing really that happened operationally that wasn't scheduled for. So the budget looks good compared to the actual. I'm going to top back to the cash report, which is on page 36. This is where I look at how we're doing fiscally, because we are generally speaking a cash business. So we got our cash with our checking reserve, which is basically our savings account. And then we've got specific reserves that we set aside for grant matching or capital asset reserves, general fund reserves. That's to supplement what needs to happen in general operations if we get a shortfall one year, rather than raising taxes or going through insurance, we could do that. So utility reserve is our biggest reserve, and it requires a certain percentage of our accumulated depreciation plus 120 days of operations. The reason that's important is because it takes care of the water infrastructure that we're all concerned with. So we just starting in July you folks budgeted for a relationship with a company that manages the tank. So it's gonna be cleaned, it's gonna be coated, it's gonna be taken care of year over year over year. So we're taking care of our assets and we didn't have to dip into that. We have got 745,000 and I hope that number continues to grow to the point where when we need a new tank, we could just write a check. If we can take care of our assets that way. So our reserves without any ARPA are 4.46 million. That's up 27% over last year and up, several 100% from previous. So the cash is doing very well and it's on balance. The next page has the ARPA money. I've highlighted 7 lines in there for what we're looking at. So the top line, Councilmember Marino reappropriated a portion of the project she was interested in to help get air conditioning upstairs. That's been put out to bid and I have my first tour tomorrow. So that's moving along. I'm pleased. The matching grant for business, the towns distributed $56,367 to local businesses who had a match for their facades. So our town looks better because of this. There's a little bit left to go. I'm hoping we can find a way to do that well. I'm skipping over one. Sunset Park is a patio that will go along where basically the bulkhead between the mallards and the ramp would go, just a place to walk and sit and watch the sunset. That's gone out to bid. It's still got a couple left to come back and we'll see how that goes. We promised the Little League touchless faucets because they kept wanting to. They kept having some really large bills because the little kids would leave the faucets on. Well, they don't want those now. They would rather have bleachers. So Billy and I are working together to try to figure out bleachers, but I did tell him that water bill is going to get paid anyway. We've got the dredging under the docks. We've got our permit in hand. That was a lot of work. We got the JPA for that. So basically, I'm putting it out to bid in August, or we closed the marina on Halloween. So I'm hoping that right there we'll be able to do the dredging underneath the floating docks. Obviously, we're taking taking the spill out Town Road to the old dump. And then we've got one that says downtown visual improvements. I'm going to be making a recommendation to you tomorrow of what one choice might look like, and then you can keep moving from there. Same thing with the town square repairs. We did make one town square repair. First of all, we cleaned and painted, and according to tree board, they just wanted to pull all of the vegetation from around the gazebo. So that's been painted, the roof has been taken care of, and the vegetation's been removed per the tree board. Now, there's a couple people who want to do plantings and whatnot. There's other people who want to put a sprinkler system in there so that we don't all have to go stand there with hoses when we do plant something. So those plans are in the works for the town square. The downtown improvements you'll see tomorrow, and that's ARPA in a nutshell. Going through my report, just in the sidebar, VDOT completed their agreement with us on Holly Street. I know that tarring and chipping is never the most popular for especially those who live there, but it does crush down and it does do those things. So the work they did for stormwater is done now. Go through. The police department seems to be on schedule we had 8/15, August 15th for a deadline for our two big projects. This one seems to be on target for a mid-August opening, so I'm pleased about that. The Welcome Center is not having that same problem. They've got a short delay as far as construction problems go. This is a short problem and a short delay, but the front door and the back door are not going to be here until mid-September. So basically the buildings will be done, but you just can't go in and out of them. So, you know, but that's that. Well, it's not that big of an issue. Just as a sort of an aside, I've been doing a lot of zoning violations and zoning applications. A lot of people are investing a lot of money in the town, just so you know. I mean, it really is. I got 4 a week where I'm going out and measuring setbacks and things like that. People are putting a lot of money into their homes here in town, so that's exciting. We had those surpluses that I had talked about that were generated by the sewer system that is operated by HRSD. I just wanted to go through the list of what you folks appropriated and what the status is. So there's a utility locator. That's what Victor uses basically to push over the top of PVC pipes to find them. A lot of times in the old days, you had ductile iron and you'd use a metal detector and that's how you'd find them. Well, PVC you can't find underground. This uses a ground penetrating radar so you can find these things, which is much, much more safe for everybody who's digging, whether you're digging for electricity, whether you're digging for plumbing, whether you're digging for sewer, doesn't matter. We can make sure we accurately place those. That's really important. So again, thank you for that investment. The roof repairs were up above, police department and on top of the Welcome Center. Those two things were done and paid for. The northeast mulch is here. If you haven't gone down to see it, it's quite a sight. There's a lot of mulch. We need the labor right now to be able to move it in. So we've got to be able to take the mulch out. We need to cover it with rubber on the bottom so it doesn't just get all weedy. And then we need to have the rubber mulch moved in. That would be Terry and Derek 2 weeks. So we're trying to find a group of laborers who might be able to take care of themselves and take care of this at the same time.
So you're looking to hire additional labor, is that what you're saying?
I just be looking basically for day laborers. If we can get our hands on people who work hard, that would be great. And I'm wide open to ideas, please. So the North Street Playhouse, the check is being written for their air conditioning. The EDA seed money, the check is being written this week. That's what I have here. The basketball court is a bit longer story. What we're going to do for that is we're going to cut the asphalt between the poles. And then we're going to pull me and Hancock are going to pull the asphalt out of the way. And we're going to pull the roots, we'll cut them and pull them as we can get through. Then at that point, we bring the asphalt people in to put the base and bring it back up to where it should be. But the paving guys don't do root removal, and we can do it inexpensively because we have the tools. So that's what we're doing, is cutting it, digging out the roots, putting a base in, getting the pavers in, putting 2 inches and then 4 inches on top, and then putting our hoops in place. And I think at that point, we will have a phenomenal park. Phenomenal.
Thank you.
If I may ask, who do the trees belong to that we're going to remove the roots from?
Those are probably on the other side of the fence.
Will we be responsible for removing them once they die?
Responsible for notifying the owners that we're doing this, and if we can be helpful in removing that tree now or cutting it or doing something like that, we'll gladly help.
Okay.
Let's see here, air conditioning upstairs I told you about. And last one is we wrote are writing the check for the $40,000 to match the grant that the fire department received for its heavy equipment. The one other thing is that we spent money on landscaping in Custis Park, the town hall garden, and the entryway garden, and I think everybody would say they noticed it wasn't us doing the work.
Is that for a year?
Yeah.
42,000 for a year?
They're done now, so they've spent their 42,000. They're gonna come back and weed and do some little management for it, but generally speaking, that's what we got.
42,000 to weed and mulch? There wasn't any landscaping. Yeah,
Custis Park, and then we fixed
You know how that went.
we fixed the sprinkler. Somebody ran it over with a lawnmower.
Vincent fixed that. Yeah,
Any,
Yeah,
is
the
there
town
gonna,
fixed that.
is there gonna be any weeding at the wharf? Cause that's looking pretty ragged.
This is a week that I've got the guys sort of a little bit easier, so I can put them down at that, I call it the anchor corner, and just see if we can go under.
And if they can happen, to catch the rooster while they're at it, that would be even better.
One of our favorite, now, Rooster 2 has not been caught, and we're, everybody that takes their dog for a walk around the garden, we're all looking for, I don't know what we do if we caught it, but.
Kim says they have a home for him if they can catch him.
Yeah, he had one, he's big, and, yeah, we got a
Okay,
good
enough
call
rooster time.
from somebody that we all know, and
Are there any questions for Matt?
Yes, I have a couple. First one is on the ARPA report, and with Sarah's leave, if we could talk about the facade improvements. There's been a request by the farmer's market to extend the deadline, which had been April, and then the group met and extended it till the end of July. But as you have just heard, we are continuing to plan on where the market would be. So obviously they can't design or even request signage until they understand the placement, all that sort of thing. So we had a request from the farmer's market if we could retain the amount of money that we would reimburse them in the facade improvement grant beyond July. And as you know, we have until the end of 2026 to actually expend the money. So there's no problem with retaining it. It's $1,666 roughly. So I believe the request is that we retain that in the facade improvements.
666, did you say?
1,600.
1,600,
1,600.
1,600. Retain that in the facade and ask Matt to reallocate the balance that won't be spent. There are no other requests for extensions.
What would you do with it? 1666.
That is the most the town would pay for the signage that they would buy.
That's what you're going to use it for, signage for the farmer's market.
Yeah, they've already been,
Which we have not approved yet to move the farmer's
The
market.
group approved the facade money, right?
for the
The
existing
council
farmer's
has
market.
Not approved moving yet.
The
So-
farmer's market,
Correct.
yes.
It doesn't make any difference where, I mean, if it doesn't make any difference where they go, they applied for a facade grant on the existing thing for $1,600 to redo their signage.
Oh,
That's
you're
just a
saying,
town
Yeah,
match.
yeah. So it's a town match for that. And they don't want to put it on a thing that they're getting ready to move. So they're going to use it. It might not be wherever the market's going, they will use it. It's not so it's not a decision about that, where it's going. So they just wanted an extension for that.
they want a new sign? Is that what you're saying?
They
I'm
were
not-
already approved they applied for a facade grant
Okay.
back and they were approved for $1,600 for new signage, all of new signage for the farmer's market. What's on the street and everything, because it
And
was all
who approved
outdated.
that? The facade?
The facade group,
Okay.
yeah. So they're just asking for that to continue because they don't want to spend money on something that they're going to move, They don't know where they're going to be next year. So They just wanted
or lose the
extension.
help that they could get
Right,
for,
yeah.
for that sign.
Yeah.
What are you asking us?
I'm asking to retain $1,666 roughly dollars in the facade improvement line in the ARPA plan and ask Matt to reallocate the balance of the
There-
32,000.
There's also a question about one of the others that I need to review.
Okay, I'd
we
understood
need
from
to talk
Debbie there
about.
was no other.
I need to dig
Okay.
into some stuff.
All right.
So let's table that until.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Matt. Can't move the money yet.
Can move it in my mind.
Well, the question is, are you going to retain the 16 for the farmer's market? Yeah, that the council, yeah, that's, yeah.
If we could decide that, would that be helpful or not particularly? No, as far as what you do, I don't think it's really helpful to you.
No.
I think we should do it all at once. My next one on the visitor center. You know, we've talked about this repeatedly about the fact that we don't have a plan. And yet somehow we never come up with a plan. So I would like to move that we ask Matt to make an RFP or an IFP, whatever is required to secure some sort of plan for what the visitor center is going to look like and be.
And a budget, right?
And a budget. Yeah, that would be good. So that's my motion. Do I need a second? Sarah's seconding.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a time frame on this?
I will get rid pretty quickly. I mean, we're gonna open in September.
End of
so
September, yeah.
I have a couple of ideas already.
All right. And a budget and some, yeah, okay, thank you. All right. We haven't got it yet. He's gonna, he hadn't presented it to us yet. Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
some ideas.
Working, where he has some ideas, working paper, yeah. All right, anybody else for Matt? Joy? Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
All right, get back to my schedule here. Town council comments, Ray? Joy?
I agree with Rosemary Papero and Dr. Feldhausen that we need a water engineer to look at this water situation. None of us are water engineers. I understand the EDA has approved that there is enough water in the aquifer, and then they passed it on to this other company who agreed with the EDA. The question of EPA. The question of is there enough water in the aquifer is not the question. And that's what the EPA answered. The question is what a water engineer for the town, a water study or a hydrologist, as they pointed out, would we have saltwater intrusion? Would there be ground sediment? We need to look at our infrastructure cost to the town. And when the mayor and I were on our elected officials tour, I emailed to the council the recommendation from the water engineer that spoke to us, and she gave us, I think, one of them was Friebel that we've dealt with before, 2 engineers who could answer the questions for the town. Not, is there enough water in the aquifer? Or not, how that goes. So that's the first thing. I agree with that. Mr. Miller, what you're asking, the answer is council has to approve that. And if council does not approve it, it does not happen. If council approves it, it does happen.
Proof what?
His question was, how does this, how,
Oh, the water sinks,
Yes,
oh, the water,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
of course, yes.
Whether there's going to be a particular contract.
Oh, yes, of course, yes, they're gonna have to enter the contract with us, yes.
Involved and how much.
I thought you were talking about stormwater, yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's a whole, it's a whole rigmarole of answers that.
Right.
I mean, that's part of the negotiations to whomever does that, for the town. And, I mean, and the town needs to know, what those negotiations are and what's the details. Then, we can't just, you can't just have it and then it's done. And then, now we find out
Oops.
back afterwards. Well, maybe that deal is, according to the townsfolk, is not such a great deal for us. You know, I mean, this needs to be out in the open, you know, not elsewhere.
So we haven't committed to anything, is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we have not signed any contracts with those people.
The only commitment has been to have a conversation.
Yeah, I don't understand what we,
Sorry, what are we talking about? Carlsbad?
We're talking about.
The 495?
yes, the waters, yes.
But I mean,
It's non-binding, yes. I don't know how many times we have to say that. Yes, it is, yeah. At the present time,
With council approval.
with council approval, yeah. So we haven't, yeah, we'll discuss it. We can't do anything it'd be a public meeting, yes, yeah. And yeah. Yes. Well, I think the town is interested in providing water for them. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of benefits by providing them water, and, you know, lower our water rates, you know, I mean, it's, yeah.
not so fast about water.
Well, we don't need to get, we're gonna, this will be a public discussion. He hasn't even submitted an application yet, you know, to do this, and it'll come up, all this, you know, we're not gonna sign a contract without, you know, a lot of, like you're looking at it, it's gonna be very complicated, but, yeah. Yeah, no, we have not signed a contract, and it's still, I mean, it's still a ways off, correct? Yeah. No, but there's nothing that's been signed so far, yeah.
I have one more comment.
Sure.
The $10,000 we gave to the Playhouse, well spent. I was at Bark, and if you haven't seen it, it's a great way to just laugh for,
And
it's beautiful. It's incredible performances. My point is though, the air conditioning is up and running and it is very comfortable in there. The play that I attended before Bark, I was miserable. It was so hot. So anyway, that's all.
Cindy?
In the course of our conversations with our new member, Paul, it occurred to me that we've all talked about the financial reports that you're currently getting. And I think some people have maybe expressed some concern that they were difficult to understand. Perhaps we could find something better. And so Paul said that he would be agreeable to looking at that, given his expertise in business and accounting. I do want to recognize, though, that of course that impacts Matt, since we're at the beginning of a new fiscal year.
You have to understand what you're reading and it has to be meaningful. So whatever you want, it doesn't make any difference.
So if it's agreeable with everyone, I think with your consensus, maybe we could ask Paul to take a look at it and see if he can make some recommendations for us.
Yeah, we'll email you our recommendations.
What we wanted.
Yep. Thank you.
Mavis?
I want to thank Casey Greer for bringing up the town arts grant and funding through the town, because the town is nothing without culture. And it's not just one kind of art, it's all kinds of arts. And people come here and they're so pleased to see that there's live theater, that there's a movie theater, and that the art community exists in it and the strength of it. So I think we'd be really remiss if we didn't plan on supporting the arts in perpetuity.
If I can help with developing that, I'm happy to do that with how to write the grant applications and developing a process. I'm happy to help with that.
Wonderful idea.
Sarah?
Two things. I wanted to echo your comments on Bill Bagwell and what a hole his death leaves in this town. It's just hard to think about. And I want to correct something I said earlier on the Sam Outlaw Blacksmith Shop Shoebox Lunch Festival is from 10 to 2 on August 24th, and it's 5 Boundary Avenue. It's $18 for lunch. There will be hands-on live demos, kid-friendly, bring a lawn chair and blankets, and have a picnic on the lawn, and you can buy your tickets ahead of time online.
Yeah, you have to get a ticket, right? Yeah, all right. Paul?
I just like to thank everyone for coming and sharing your thoughts. Bear with me as I learn. And that's it.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? Aye, thank you. Well, you have to prove it. Not a single